it's a few weeks later, and yeah, we've had the bike started now. It runs. I've had it through the gears. We've created a bit of smoke, and this is my board of keeping track of where I'm at. So it's the end of 2022. We've obviously all been dealing with COVID around the world, and things take a little bit longer these days to arrive in the mail. And so to keep track of what I've purchased for builds, I've got a little bit of a storyboard here, and it helps me keep track of the pricing as well, which I also do on a spreadsheet. So obviously the culprit was the fuel pump, so that's been replaced and things are going well. We've got a new set of plugs to go in. That probably gives away a little bit about the look of this bike in the future. So we've got a set of basically motocross dirt bike handlebars, $60. And also this is going to give away a little bit of the colour scheme. So we're going for black, red and gold. We've got some brackets there for a headlight, bar ends to stop your handles from sliding off. And this week, hopefully before Christmas, we're going to chuck a brand new set of Michelin Road 6s for what's going to cost me $710 fitted to the bike. Now we also have some other parts that I've tracked down, and I'll just show you those. So we have a headlight from a XJ6. I believe that's a Yamaha. Headlight is just something I thought looked pretty cool. It's got some broken clips on the side, but I think we can make it work with this fitting here. Found some trims for the side of this thing. And for the record, $40 for the light, $60 for the trims, and the bars have arrived. So we're going to chuck those on soon, just to get a look of what we're going to be getting. There's the old fuel pump that's been taken out. You've seen that. So yeah, we're going to get this, get these bars fitted. I've got to get these wheels off, which means I can't put a jack stand underneath because paddock stand I should say, or bike stand, because the exhaust runs underneath it. So I'm going to have to make it. I don't have a paddock stand for this. In fact, I don't have a paddock stand. So everything else I've ever had has had a center stand. So I'm going to have to weld up some little brackety things, which we'll do shortly to get these wheels off, so I can get them in this week. It's the last week before Christmas, and so we've got a couple of days to get a couple of things done, so that during our holiday, my holiday, Christmas holidays, which for Aussies, that's typically our major holiday. So I've got 2.5 weeks off work, and I intend to spend a little bit of time, if these parts turn up, working on this. So let's crack on. So just excuse my little window rattler air conditioner. That's how I keep the shed cool. Just roll the door up a bit, out underneath. Back to more important things. So what I need to do is lift this point here. There's a little indentation underneath that I can get something to sort of locate in there. I need to be able to get to this main bolt here and these ones here on both sides. So I'm just going to come up underneath there and lift, but before I do that I'm going to back the tension off on these bolts, just so once it's a little bit precariously sitting up on top of the stand, I'm going to be able to undo them. Now at the back we have these lifting, these points here. So I'm going to use them, I think, to create something to lift from that point. Probably telling me out there that that is the lifting point. Anyway, that's on both sides. So I'll use that in some way, and again, just create a bit of a homemade paddock stand in the next half an hour. I'm lucky enough to have a welder here, so and a bit of scrap metal. So we'll use some bits of box section that we've got here and see what we can mop out. So there's the little paddock stand I made, which is working a treat. Little bit of angle, just holding it in position, so it could go slightly higher, but that's all I need. So that's worked fine, and just a couple of jack stands under the back to hold the back up. Let's get the wheels on first, get it sitting back how it should be on the ground, and a bit safer and secure, and then get that off, get the bars on, get the new light on, get that sitting as it needs to. These calipers are going to have to come off, I think, and maybe get a vapor blast and a coat of gold on them. We'll just see if I can find a paint that's close enough to the anodising. So let's get these tyres on, but just before we do that, we'll, not that we're sponsored today by the coffee club, but we'll hook into this coffee and a nice piece of, I think it's called a cherry ripe slice. It's obviously sugar-free, flavour-free, gluten-free. Yeah, it's my favourite. Happy with the colour of these bars and things going with that. I think it needs a little bit more gold on there somewhere, so that's where I'm thinking possibly the calipers. So we've got two calipers on the front, single one on the right at the back, and maybe that spring there, maybe that needs to be gold as well. So yeah, we've got a couple of covers coming for here, but unfortunately they're a long way away due to just freight at the moment. So I'm probably not going to see them for at least another 4 to 6 weeks, which is a real shame. The end bars here, bar ends, sorry, weighted bar ends to go on here. So they should be here next day or so. Nice to get those on. Then I can play around getting set up with the throttle cables and brake cable. And then it'll be strip a lot of the stuff off. Brake pads, redo those, pull the calipers off, drain the oil, and clean that out. And then give those calipers a spray. Probably the discs down here, might bling them up, make them a bit shinier like this gold here as opposed to that dull. So the gold anodised as opposed to a painted, well that's anodised as well. So yeah, that's where we're at, and we might chuck a bit more gold on it somewhere. As I said, those back pegs will probably come off just for the registration of this, being able to do a single seat registration, about half the price of registering the bike with a dual seat for now. Tail tidy, yeah, that's got to go, so we'll clear that off and either mock something up to hold that on there. Don't those tyres look good? I love these tyres. I had the Road 5s and they were really impressive on the K1200 BMW, K1200S. I think they're going to be a real asset on this bike. Underneath here I've got to do a little sort of belly pan just to cover up some of that, make it look a bit tidier. So that's a bit of fiberglassing, I believe, at the moment. I can't find that part on its own. I haven't looked really hard, but in the end that's not too much of a drama. Got other stuff to wait on anyway. The side panels that go in here and on the other side to cover the radiator reservoir, they are carbon fibre black, so quite a shiny, like a gloss carbon fibre. Might look at doing a sort of a shroud over the back there. Excuse my ignorance, can't think what it's called, but basically covering the rear seat, like a cowling, rear seat cowling. We'll see how that looks. They are available, but I think only for the split seat where you take the rear part of the seat off, so might have to just make something up for that out of fiberglass, but we'll have a look. And then have to look at what we're going to do here, so whether we cut that back end of the bar off or whether I just leave it for now and put up with it. And maybe it needs to be gold as well. I don't know, I don't want to overdo it, but it is what it is. It's a Street Fighter, so it's typically made up of, you know, a bike that, you know, you want to keep running on the road, so you buy bits and pieces just to keep it going and make it work. And that's pretty much what it is. So that's where we're at. So look, if you wouldn't mind, throw us a thumbs up and a comment. So just marked where I flatten the tab out, it's pretty nice. I'm just going to fit that in there gently. I'll just put a couple of tacks on there. And you have to move this out of the way just to make life a bit easier. Cool, that's easy. What's that? Okay, so that's going to sit like that. What I don't like is I can just see the tops of the welds there, and the distance between here is a little bit greater here. So if I can bring the front up just, I'm going to say 3 mil, which I think Abraham Lincoln, what did he say? 1/8 of an inch, something like that. So we'll just finagle with that for a moment and get that to work, and then I'll come back to you and we'll just screw that on and see how it looks. We don't want it directly onto the metal, so even everything out. I've come up with the design for these things. They're called a rubber washer. They're going to catch on, I tell you. They're going to be really popular. Right, let me just put that on there. Before you know it, they'll be in every store. Right. So that helps me lift the panel slightly. It also is going to help with a bit of vibration. Clearly that was my idea all along. Alright, so now I'm going to have a look in behind here and just see where I can fix another little bracket from underneath. So I don't want to be able to see the screw, the fixing hole, and I might also just try and pull that down a bit just to flare it. Put a packer in behind here just to flare that out a bit, just to grab a few more millimeters, parts thereof of an inch, whatever they're called, and just bring that out a bit so that it kind of hides a bit more of that. Right, well, this is very exciting because I just remembered I took this piece of bracketry off and threw it across the garage. So what I'm going to do is take this piece here with the hole already in it. I'll weld a little nut on the back of that. And I'm going to bring a piece out from here underneath here, and then I can fix up through the bottom here. So we're going to be fixing there and there, and I think we can achieve what we need to with that. So I'm going to make this bracket, cut that off for a start, and we can trim it to length. So I've made that little bracket up and drill the hole through the bottom here clearly, and I've just got the bracket, the weight of the little fairing, just holding it against the frame of the bike. So what I'm going to do now is just lightly take a little bit of paint off underneath here, so I can get a couple of tacks with the welder, and I'll use the bolt as the earthing point. I think that's going to work, so I'm going to give that a shot. I'll come back to you in a second. Give these a light coat of primer, just grey primer, just so we don't get any rust starting. And this top one here has got a little bit of moisture down in there, so I'll just get in there with the air hose and give that a bit of a blast to dry that out first. So next time you see this, I'll also just clean up the edge of the Dremel on this and put a little bit of primer on the top of that as well. So next time you see this side, I will have the little side fairing fitted, and then we'll move around the other side. Right, so there we have it, fitted on there. This bolt is not going to stay there. I'll get a nice flat sort of screw head to fit there. Paint it black, and right, so we are now ready to move around the other side of the bike and see if we can put the other one on the other side in the same place. I guess the only good thing is you can never see both sides of the bike at the same time, so as long as we're close, we'll get it. Okay, I've just got a fuel tube, silicone tube here at the moment, just for bleeding the brakes, but I found that I've got an issue with the brakes. Down below is good, but up here the main reservoir needs to do a rebuild on this here. So I'm just waiting for the parts to come in, and I think if I change, this part down in here, the plunger in there, that the main activating ingredient in having brakes. Once I get the parts for that, we should sort that. But at the moment, it's just a bit. I can push that all the way in quite easy. It's a bit soggy. Took it for that little short ride, and I'd say it's got about 30% of what it should have. So anyway, on with the show. Now we've got the same problem with this bracket on this side here, so we're going to have to cut that across there, probably end up using this part here. A little bit trickier on this side, I think, because we've obviously got this reservoir in behind here which sticks out. Kind of knew about that before, but anyway, from the side we're going to be aiming to get to that point, covering that weld there, and being just below that point there, following that tube along there, the main tube. So that bracket's got to come off. So I'm just going to mark that bracket, cut it off, and then look at, I don't think it can go where the existing hole is, because we have a little thing called a reservoir cap there, which I think is going to get right in the way. So we're going to have a, we'll just see how close we can get it in first, and then we'll make that decision. So because I need to free up a couple of hands, I'm going to put the camera down and I'm going to cut that bracket off, position this, have a look at it, and then see where that's going to go. And then also looking if we can use this bracket down the side here to attach somewhere, or whether we do something similar to the other side and just cut that one off. But anyway, leave that to me and I'll come back to you. Alright, so I've just removed the side panels where the pegs are attached to. There's a plastic piece here that just pops off pretty easy. Push tab things. Doing it one hand is never fun. Right, just take that part off. I'm going to spray these up all black, except for the pegs obviously. Take the gold pegs off. These will get like a plastic adhesion spray on them first, and then I'll spray the whole lot in a pretty much a gloss, semi-gloss black, and then get them back on there, and that'll get rid of a bit of that sort of silver bling. We'll just have the engine then. Got the just mocking up a little windscreen. Probably going to need to be sort of trimmed a bit there. It's just not quite sitting how it will, and it does have a bit of a fold to it. As you can see there, a bit of a fan fold just to give it a bit of strength, and also just because we've got these points that it's coming to. So that'll probably get knocked up out of fiberglass, and I might just try and put the same look as this carbon fibre here on that, and that'll probably do it for the carbon fibre. I think that'll be enough enough bits of that. If anything, maybe a bit at the back, but you know, who knows. Anyway, so that's what's happening next. I'll get these cleaned up in the vapor blaster first, dry them off, and then I'll come back to you once they're hanging up and ready. But I just want to get all the dust and grime off it so the paint sticks a bit better. If you're interested in building one of these vapor blasters, the gun here that I'm holding from a company called Armory Enterprises out of New Zealand. You can find them online. Fantastic bloke to deal with over there. Parts turned up really quick. So I'm in Australia, so he's over in New Zealand. So I think he was going to run across at low tide with it, but ended up posting it to me, and yeah, it only took, I don't know, probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I had it. Anyway, I'm just going to kind of keep that clean for you. So you can sort of see that's cleaning up very quickly, very easy. Fantastic. So I built the vapor blaster box, and just the gear that runs it, I guess, but the gun itself, you can make them yourself. You can get the directions from Armory Enterprises. There's a booklet on how to do it, or you can just, but you do need a lathe, or you need someone with a lathe to get a part made for the inside. But if you don't have that, you can just order it online, as I said. So, let's see if we can just get up in there. A bit hard one-handed, guys, but that's cool. I'm just going to flip this over. The other side's pretty clean. Back together, the side panels there painted up in a gloss black and a semi-gloss clear coat. I've put some pretty heavy layers of clear coat on that only because I know it's going to wear. So that's where it's at the moment. That's what it's looking like. Still thinking about, got to doctor this tail tidy up, probably move everything back, tidy that up. Exhaust, I'll make a decision this week as to what I'm going to go with. Whether I can find a second-hand one that's got the carbon fibre look, or whether I have to just buy a new one. But either way, that's what I'm after. I think just that extra touch of carbon fibre, which will be on the other side of the bike, but it'll be down this area as where you'll see it. I'm really happy with how it's looking at the moment, and once the exhaust goes on and I charge the battery up, we'll be in a position to take it for a roadworthy. So, now I do have to make up a little screen. That's just a template that I've made out of paper just to get an idea. It'll come in a little bit narrower on the sides there, just to align with the light coming up here, and on top sort of zigzaggy, which will give it a little bit more strength. So I'll have to make up a little mould for that out of MDF, just out of some of that, and then form a small fiberglass, just a wind deflector really, and to be honest, it's more just to cover up where the gauge will go down here, so it'll just make it look a little bit cleaner and tidier. So that's what we're looking at the moment. Well, it's been through its roadworthy, passed, everything's all good, so it's deemed roadworthy, which means next step is to take it through the transport department. They'll do their checks, they'll take some money off me. I'll explain that in the next video very briefly, because I think the most important thing is that we get this bike out on the road and put it through some curves. So yeah, looking forward to that. Thanks for watching. For my subscribers that have stuck around, I appreciate you sticking around and watching the videos and dropping some comments. For new subscribers, thank you also. I hope you like what's coming up and what you've seen. And for those of you maybe who haven't subscribed but just checked out the videos, it showed a bit of interest. Really appreciate you showing the interest, and yeah, you are appreciated. So I've got to go away for a couple of weeks. When I get back, we'll get this through some curves, through some corners. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll be back onto the XJ650 as soon as we possibly can. I'll be dedicating as much of, if not all of my time to getting that bike ready, built. I've got parts that have come in from America, England. Some parts have taken a very long time for the engine, but they're here now, and so that series will continue. I apologise, but at the same time, it's been difficult to try and get some of the parts for an older bike, particularly where we are way down here in the bottom of the world. So, but anyway, I think we're there now, and that'll start to come together. Got some interesting things coming up with that build. So, without further ado, I'm going to crack on with getting this on the road and taking it for a ride, and we'll do a video of the first ride on this, first official ride. And thanks again for sticking around, and yeah, great to have you. Cheers.